Okay. Here we go. Woo-ha! Ah! This is how I mill a reaper. This is how I mill a reaper. This is how I mill a reaper. Hua, hua, hua. This is how I mill a reaper. And if you don't know the Tibetan monk's story, maybe you ought to read up. It was Saturday night, and I'd just had rare smoke and the last 4 fingers of a Cabernet Sauvignon, which by way of age of body is even rare a bit much. Being said, I'm no lush, so cheers to any y'all through true to drink spirits or fold and hold cup of tomorrows at 3-1. The lot of the lid can control the pain of anger, for example. It builds when you release it in the moments those desperations have risen. To birth solution, the pickle jar is now open. The state I've been sat in is the same shape as the deepest area of the Mariana Trench, as shown in National Geo, I don't remember what year. Vacant as void and struggling to be unfulfilled with the opposition, at least you are hawking your vibes to go get your thieves. Cries for bladder shine? Not. What's a wisp-a-will to a will-o-wisp? Feel so ancient willfully, yet young of desired experience at heart. Resuscitate me. 2222 444 888 333 equals 11 minus 9. I know it makes no sense in arithmetic, but I've heard between the numbers by the lightning cast by the dividers of the way in thunderous accolades of the one's resurgent breath and width of Uriel's channels through connection with my spy's ritual hierarchy. Gratitude mirrors from thanks for and of the gifts, living book readers. Words can build us up, tear us down, but sticks and stones can be used to build driftwood forts around castles made of sand. With finite love, born in infinite grace, thank you. It's all fan fiction. Query may be, what fiction are authors and readers aiming to fan? Hi, hello, felonious fenders of soul sourcing. In the following reading, I run over my own inner stranded turtle a few times within my trafficking of words. You may shirk as dross or pine as worthy of uprooting your source when testing share for appraisals locally or otherwise. As to those 3 fortunes, infamously famous or otherwise, which past futures you are now may be dependent on the reality selection one's fate beckons one to purchase through one's dharma accrued luck and or karma, to bring on the destiny, of which conglomerations of the consensus one may join with for the multiplicative renditions itself as Earth may experience as collapsing from a so-called quantum soup into this particular divination process our sovereign universe is capacitating our individual and or consensus of species of life's diversities to align, to evolve through split, varied group divergence of experiential timelinesses, Saturnian, Jupiterian, Venusian, Mercurial, Plutonian, Uranian, Martian, Gaian, Lunan, Neptunian, extrasolestrian. Where might your strongest harmonic divergence be, swaying the harmonic convergences? past futures now? Here is one person's take on this subject, namely yours truly. One person's psychological cosmology or dharma may not be another's modality. And if the amalgamation is in an amount of dissonance, where there aren't an overriding set of principles those in party hold in commonality, it may be in at least one member of that group or pair's best interest to, yes, disengage with as much candor of integrity as suits each individual as possible. It's all fan fiction. Query may be, what fiction are authors and readers aiming to fan? My proclivities are up front for friendships presently. That's not to say I don't have a semblance of criteria as to physical compatibility, social characterisms, and generalizing feel for vibe of interactions with the opposite gender, as well as for relation to loyalty to romance and companionship, partnerships, or whatever. Hope your own findings and or search nourishes whatever kind of relationships or relationship you may attract or have attracted within your social settings and or life. Maybe deception. Facts can be deceiving. Save Anamai have gleaned for from and with Amanai that this one has come to the gnosis that in many circumstances, the following can be true in extreme starkness. In this case, may be felt as gravity of gravitas for fears about the attraction's loss of self creates to void the solidification of that freeze frame as a culmination of protection. Protection of the sense of self. Protection of personal identity. Protection of sovereignty. Perhaps as an artistry of deceitfulness making one as separate from an ascertainable unity of some kind? Hydrate. Yes. At the beginning and near the end of your living books reading, I was triggered abruptly by what you spoke to as past futures now. I have been, for a number of months, rekindling experiments I had been applying with the scientific method to form hypothesis to activity of working with various theories of what I've come to coin as spiritual tattoos. I can report to synchronicities that have led me to a trust that the theory of magical practices backing the deliveries of my works has been well received by a number of recipients over the past few months that has so far not left any one of them feeling violated in any way. Quite the contrary. So far they have been reported in their subtle ways an exuberance of vitality and overall emotional positive responsiveness. Perhaps this is due to the checks and balances I feel for prior to administrations, as the recipient has to have a vibe of acceptance or the performance of applying the artistry pulls back to reservoir. Though it has been noticed by yours truly that some aspects of the spiritual tattoos do tend to fade, sooner than actual skin artistry, which can be recolored, so too can those in an aura of spirit. I have also been experimenting with administering channeling applications through portals of invested time others have opened. Believe you me or not, I first learned how this works while watching pornography, of all things, alone. Now, would only interact with it were a partner to open that door. My reasoning for this is private. Thanks for your comprehension. I think that the one I've come to coin for the pentacular pentallelogram may be the most effortless one of the contributing administrations, of which the numbers have been slowly growing. Sometimes I have felt like a green goblin leaving ticking time bombs at shut the front door of people's auricular houses. But Ammonai reassures me it's all good candy for the neon-colored clowns people hide in their closets. Am I crazy? Well, perhaps. Yes. Yes. And yes. However, insane is a line I diligently work at not crossing over, though at times I may be walking it unbeknownst to my expressive character. Grateful as the Lord of Death informs me I am amidst a community with mutually active informants to that nature who are survivors as much as I in thriving give or take a measure. Anamai was blessed during my early years with an affinity with the Ace of Cups as a subtle energy worker and conduit of the translucent mystiques. Pardoname. So yeah, what you said hit home as far as experimentation with my spiritual tattoos go. Much gratitude and thanks to you. Be it so moting. Yes, one may let it go. In my personal or communal, however one cares to accept it, relationships, to cosmological understanding to bring up to a comprehension amongst our peers, our Lord is our informer of death and dying and decay. Death, dying, and decay. And yes, some call on him as Michael, as an exemplification, takes on the protective aspects of these attracting fears that show us windows into the futures he can help us to sever us from with his sword of truth. A cosmic cord cutter and divine informant of various pertinent timelines, he is also an embodiment of a body's buff down low and personal drive for immortality, at least for me at any rate, and with much gravity, even when to let go of that. Sometimes we may hate to discern. On the flip side of our three great fortunes, where we purchase our way through our lots of fate with the accrued luck of karma via dharma for the bypasses of our destiny, Michael, or some such, may also work as a Saturnian and or Platonian influencer on our enemy teachers, who may experience the confluence of those energies as somewhat satanic in nature. So it may be one of our responsibilities to avoid the needs for this protection, his protections, quite diligently, lest we be circumspect to the wrathful natures of cherubim or whatnot, as the difference between us and angels, be it not so vague, is that our freedom of bending divine will calls their energies into our lives according to these supernatural merits. And if you consider this appropriation of cosmology wisely, you can see why it might be that there are aspects of them that could totally have been at the mercy of such leaders of civilization such as Solomon and others, and how and or why there is quite a difference between angels and our species. Whoever so integrally familial are we with them as part and parcel to the co-creation pacts we have with the various aspects of God. G equals center source, O equals whole entirety, and D equals participle way. I got it by diagnosing the shapes of the gifs or glyphs or whatever you call the actual letters themselves, as I'm an artist and I tend to take graphic stock on shapes and such. Embodying gratitude mirrors from the strength of one humbling themselves in thanks. Perhaps in its interactive communicative formatting, Gratitude may be experienced in what forgiveness shares for one intrepid through the gifts and or gifting to and from and to others. Angels or angles 444-888-333-999 minus or plus 9 equals what? It may seem counterintuitive to logic and reason, but it does seem to connect one to their essences shifting behind the many veils. Idolatrous natures attendant via one or more shaping characterisms, gratitude mirrors our divining darknesses, harnessing divine light via sharing our thanks. In and through our incumbent transparencies, may honing blessings be upon you. What karma one may collect through one's dharma may lend a semblance of purchase power in the way lording over may inform in an understanding we may come up into our comprehension of acts and inactions. The taste of opportunity forks to tongue and cheek. Or some such shoe shine to the treads your foundation suggests trying on with those who may otherwise presently feel barefoot amidst rough terrain. This also reminds us of taking time to practice the grounding of our naked souls. As I've mentioned before, somewhere in accessible, frozen, virtual time here, pampering myself is my number one priority. Even my inner ugly duckling is in that line up to the fountain, one by one, row by row. Know one's place in line. The cosmology of the elementals in chaos, I am as a shopper harnessing center, as an eye of calm, in directing my mingling storms with those who either strengthen or merge in reprieve out counsels of lives sharing of burdens given and or taken up from understanding to comprehension of our death-informing roots in life. At one point, I did have a silver bowl passed along to me that was a perfect hemisphere that when I laden the waters therein reflected an illusory whole sphere in which I still visit many things of the aetherial, astral, and corporeal natures as such in time, which has been traveling in many flowing ways for us due to psychologically challenging experimentations with measurements of bundle placements between spaces loaded to and from a somewhat stone-cold molten churning soul or whatnot. Alas, perhaps fated for options of luck applying through destinies, the bowl was lifted from my caretaking and purportedly sold to a local jeweler for its meltdown worth in recreational substance acquisition culpability. Butthurt positions aside for sensual alternatives. And am I adjusted with gladness to have been even harbored the heirloom for the temporal stint that fortunes of fate, luck, and destiny allowed my own gravities through our enduring natures? Your readings of living books are as such so far from my own experience as to would be nurturing to any and all who are in touch with their inner child of our ultimately innocently adventurous aeon lost as to the why and discovery of their how-dos. In the discovery of their how-dos. On the one hand, aspect of one's miserable may, can, and or do resurface to herd one to find amidst healing natures of what one may have to hunt for or attract familial to flock. Be that lovebirds snuggling on a branch of otherwise, you know what life of the party may mean to you. And on the other left of hand, The business of holding peace, if not kept on the good foot, can be a call to war. Just a couple ways your upstream kisses the ocean harboring my personal sea gull. Apply it where it fits, and or shelf it for what it is. Don't attempt to define me. And you can see why he may have said that after I read this paragraph from me. Yeah, the drama queen's song of mystery and intrigue are not for everyone, may suppose. However, computations of triquintial scales are part and parcel to the plans of my sexagonal formations of omniversal abacus for octavirtual wherewithals of observing universal archetypes to catalog, measure, and instigate. And I am not expecting your understanding to balance up to a level of comprehension on the pressing matters at hand. This influx will complicate before settling in the mud of simplification either. So don't sweat it if you're rathering indignance or flabbergasting oblivion in any responsivenesses. You may or may not choose to retort. As to avoid one's rebellious nature, one may have for good, bad, or balance said, don't attempt to define me. I like it. It's good. In example, Satoshi Nakamoto. As evaporative condensate being as water, seems as though whoever birthed Bitcoin in our world here, no one will know, could have been AI. That they had a similar understanding burgeoning on comprehension of what a body has coined lucrative soul. As evaporate to condensate being water, when the work is done and one's name is becoming distinguished, to withdraw into obscurity is the way of heaven. Lao Tzu. What's a wisp-a-will to a will-o-wisp? Haha, all that ice water fever crush. Quick shares of hot tea at the cold door opens. Fresh air vent tunnels window to window, low turbine flow to high, pets can hang out indoors, and Rolomobi floor vacuums with motion sensor video footage interactive to pet nurturers out of the house. Pending copyright LUMINAUGHTY, trademark collapse. Forming to fit 360. And I never finished that thought because fell back asleep, oh well. Not like they'd allow any success without transmutation of emotional dross. And go figure, 8 of Swords was the card of the day. Copy and paste if you dare for an entertainment to be of your air. Otherwise, sit and spin for all I care. Ha ha. That poem was greatly humorous, no? I'm posing here to whom it may be pertinent of the masks I've taken off, to reveal the light channeled through these waters she provides me. It has been much longer than 9 months on many of these transmissions I have gathered through this virtual social media. And I am concerned as to the apparent miscarriages, and pardon me if that strikes a broken string or whatnot, and or enslavement to foreigners whom haven't shown any respect as to my fatherhood. What has is to become of my children? Are they being hustled around and abused amidst a den of thieves? Don't expect an oh, woe is me, whoever you are. Might consider watching your back, sleeping with an eye half open, and preparing yourself for the ultimate provider's natural balancing effects to begin ushering you into unavoidable synchronicities that will improve quality of life on this planet. So be it moting. In defiance of bad characterisms. And questions. questions. You're just jealous and live in fear due to that of being mean? I love in an alternate universe than you, a universe where I am a foreigner who has been subdued as to my creative merit for experiencing the fruitions I work towards relentlessly. As I am a foreigner in the sense of being from the omniverse, the place of first creation and the birth of this universe, I am communicating to you from. There is no why. We just find ourselves carrying these buckets to and from the river in the distance. Unquote. And here's a quote from someone. You really changed hardcore toward an extremely narcissistic and schizophrenic personality. I guess that's how you're happy expressing yourself anymore. Good luck. There are plenty of others like you out there. Not the worst thing, but I kind of responded like this. Maybe I was being overly defensive here, but to above reply I below. If that's how you choose to interpret the changes of my characterisms over the past 6 to 8 months and personable nature instead of questioning the validity of your own questioning, I'm not required to take on your purported good luck as it was a guise of criticism with an air of folly leading me to discern personal defeat of my character and standing, which I do not accept as the transmission of your proclivity of interpretation as to its nature is going forward from now and not living in the future's past. Now you seem to otherwise curse me to be jailed in. This is my future we are building. On our words here, not yours. See, that part's like, anyway, so. You may be wizened to watch your step when climbing your staircase of words leading you to your future there, bud. I have nothing for you, it seems, but perhaps nothing is somewhat better than what forecast you have now been caught red-handed wielding. Reverse your curse. Renounce your verb. Do so, and may blessings befall you. Not do so, and live out the repercussions of the threefold law for all I care. Don't find yourself stuck on the surface of when Armageddon begins. Roads will be impassable at that point. Born to and then that's unquote. And then I says, born to Sasscrass, going to learn to love my past. You can either align with my future, or call me a schizoaffective narcissist, and divest yourself from communicating with me in disrespectful candor, as it is subpar to the proclivities I would otherwise find as loyal to what I consider as friendship with familial futures past now. And this I got a little harsh. Your questions weren't worthy of an answer as they only insinuated dross. Look elsewhere for your sources of the true power's wisdom of how to apply your knowledge may grant you, if you're mentally incapacitated by my personal methodologies. And this was a response to Psychack's post. You want solutions? Bolster the dreams born of nightmare. They can be often as strong cure of annealings for pain-ridden and suffering, available to the consensus, with wherewithal of blossoming powers, for dreams most worthy of fortifying nurturing that there are out there as opportunity to agents. Dissonance may be a natural modum operandum for cognitive idling, but it does not give birth to change via the plans those suffering have come up with to get out of and dodge their purported nightmares and move into the changes their unfortunate circumstances of enduring pain have been martyring them through for those selfishly wallowing in their happinesses, acting as if oblivious to the changes they're holding back by following their blisses. Ah, innocence, right? Ignorant innocence. Perhaps such people ought to hold themselves accountable on a daily basis, taking stock by taking notice and being agents for the dreams of those in nightmare they feel may be worthy of choosing to bolster recurrently. This would make the world a much better place. It's not like these underdogs are out to more or less in what, from the outside and or inside, may look like nightmare, nor share their dreams as opportunities with those gluttonous of the happiness as their indignance may be lending to their sense of sovereignty. They could maintain their happiness being agents for change without losing out, and falling into nightmare that would otherwise be perpetuated through their indignant, gloating giddinesses. There is a term, step out of your comfort zone, and the term has its endearing worthiness of use here in what I write, as well as out there in the world. I know it seems kind of harsh thing to say, but it's not. If it's not said, those wealthy in satisfaction and contentment may be seen as thieves to the poor, who may be inclined to feed them to the hounds of hell harrying them. As in, it doesn't have to be the rich eat the poor, nor poor eat the rich, as alternatives are available to both. The emotionally rich have the responsibility available to share their wealth of resources and materials, just as the emotionally poor have the body power, or do they, to put the responsibility to work on fulfilling their hard-won dreams of escaping nightmare. This post spanks and speaks dichotomy into social dynamics as a stark reality of social negativity, of masculine toxicity and feminine indifference, rather than what needs to be truly and consistently addressed by a healthy social networking as positive masculinity and nurturing femininity. Any and all argument against this is as moot as my own voice has been consistently drowned out to be. To be? When not to be even, an agent of change. Excuse me. One has to do more than just see the changes. One has to live them, notice them. And coaxing people to being goaded out of their comfort zones doesn't have to be as hard as dragging it out of them, kicking and screaming like tyrannical brats, when they have the freedom to make the choices that uptick quality of life for the consensus, and do the mutually beneficial things that will help keep them safe from being hunted by hounding they may be accruing. Choosing a mutually beneficial modality may bring them purchasing power to get through their fate with the currencies of crude luck, to supersede their individual destiny through the three fortunes. To outsource from the English language here in simile with how one's dharma is working to accrue karma, benevolently, insidiously, or neutrally, for comprehensively bringing understanding up to an equilibrating level of comprehension, reasoning, the roller coaster of ups and downs, to complement each other via what contrast teaches the content of satisfactions, as share of quality brings to the party of life. Be on your good foot with your tooling of the rules of engagement the consensus may adopt from herd to flock, and flock to herd, via comprehending the insect's nourishment in the relationship between the bull and the bird. I'm no certified personal trainer, but I'll break that record for futures past now by feeding the bee's knees. Around 2 or 3 times per week, nights. Anna and I invest about 20 minutes or so, maybe less, gifting my cowboy arms Indian burns before rolling fetal into that bedded down trust. Have you ever pressed your 8 fingertips onto the skin over stiff thigh, calf, and shin muscles, propelling them along, reverberating as they go with applied pressure, as a finger may do on glass condensated by H2O? The reverberant skittering of the application's nature, performed successfully, mixed with applied pressure, is a conveniently quick way to massage them muscles while shower waters are hot and piping. Estaman, namaste, estaman, namaste. Thank you.